9 o'clock hour on opening day, live from Kauffman Stadium on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM, and streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. And here we are with the man of the day, Mr. John Sherman, the owner of the Royals. Good morning. How are you?
Good, Pete. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Well, how's it feel before we get to, obviously, what everybody's talking about, being here for another opening day? This would be your, your fifth opening day?
Fifth, and the first one was delayed, and we had nothing but, cardboard pop-ups.
That's right.
But no, it's a great day out here. You never know about the weather. 2 years ago, I think we were sitting here. There were snow flurries during the national anthem.
It was.
No, I think about opening day in general. It's just such a great, optimistic day. Just got back from spring training after 3 visits. It's a great time of year. But opening day to me is it's like Greater Kansas City Day, Civic Appreciation Day, and really a celebration of Kansas City and the fact that we've got Major League Baseball in Kansas City.
Absolutely. Now, this opening day is overshadowed by what's coming up on Tuesday. And as I asked you off the air, what's it like right now to be the most controversial man in Kansas City?
I don't know. I don't necessarily know that I feel that way, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm certainly in the center of the storm. Look, my objective, we can talk about why I feel like this is a great deal for Kansas City, but at the end of the day, this is about sustaining ourselves as a major league city. When I think about our founders, Lamar Hunt on the Chiefs side and Ewing Kauffman, and I think about what this city would look like today without these two teams, without this sports complex here, we'd be a totally different place. When you think about the events that we've had, even just since the last renovation, which was financed by this existing sales tax, we've had an All-Star game, 2 World Series, 5 AFC championship games, the NFL draft, Taylor Swift and Beyonce concerts, and we're going to have the World Cup. And you think about, this is about keeping our momentum, but sustaining ourselves as a major league city. And if you don't sustain yourself, that's not the status quo. That does not mean stand still. It means to plow forward and make sure we're transforming this city in a positive way.
2 thoughts off of what you just said there, and that is the world is very different than in 2006. And we've talked to former Mayor Sly James about this, who's working with the Vote Yes side as well. There is a populism sentiment on both sides of the political aisle that did not exist 20 years ago. You have, interestingly enough, politics makes strange bedfellows, as you know, very progressive folks and more conservative folks for very different reasons who are either on the fence or are dead set against this. What do you say to them when they're thinking about this and they're, using the lines of, you got a lot of people with a lot of money, why do they need my little 3/8 of a cent sales tax?
When you ask about what do I say to folks, I've been spending a lot of time. I knocked on doors last weekend. I went to churches on the east side on Sunday. I went to a union event in Independence. This is all just this week, I'm just saying. And then we've had a number. I was at a neighborhood meeting at 18th and Vine. We were down in the Crossroads last night, as well as we had an event at the Black and Hispanic Chamber. So I've had my ear to the ground, and I really want to hear from people. And so I get all those questions. And I'll tell you I could tell you some anecdotes about what I'm hearing. But, as it relates to the question, I think the question is, why don't you pay for it yourself, bottom line, right?
Yeah,
I get that question all the time. And you think about a small market like this, it's really about, I want a local partner. We want a community partner. This has been a great partnership for 52 years. We just talked about parts of it. I want to make sure that this team is tied to this community. A small market team. We're the smallest market in the U.S. with an MLB and an NFL franchise. Like in a lot of things, we punch above our weight class. And if we have a community partner, then we have a 40-year lease with the community. That's going to make sure that we're connected to the community in a way that I may or may not. Well, I definitely won't be here at the end of the 40 years, but I assume we'll.
Well, these last few months have taken a little time off of that, right?
That's right. I assume that at some point here there'll be another great group of people that will want to pass the baton to, just like it was passed to us. And I want to, I want the team to be in the middle or early in a 40-year commitment to the city and the region. And when I think about that, I just talked about maintaining ourselves as a major league city. If we sign a 40-year lease here and this vote passes, we will see the century mark as the Kansas City Royals, Major League Baseball in Kansas City. I won't be around, but I want my kids and my grandkids to have what I had. in terms of what these teams do to add to the fabric and the culture of a great city.
When you look at what's gone on here the last few weeks and what you've heard and what you've dealt with, another thing that comes up is, and there's different factions of groups of people. Some love it out here. Some don't want to go downtown. Young families say, where do I park?
Right.
How do you solve, I've got 3 kids, 5 and under. For young families, which baseball is really about, more than football across the parking lot, how does this enhance their experience?
Well, you have 3 kids, 5 and under.
Yep, 3-week-old, by the way. So I'm tired.
So you had to drop the man-to-man and go to zone.
Oh, we are in a full zone. Yes, full zone, zone.
So I'm sorry. The question: What do
you for people with those young families who love coming out to the K, ease of access, in and out, the whole thing? How does the experience for them improve downtown?
Yeah, no, I understand that. There's a lot of young families that are moving downtown. We project 42,000 downtown residents by 2028, all within walking distance of the stadium. I talk to people in the Crossroads. I talk to the city council people that represent that area. What they love about baseball is that it is a family activity and it's family entertainment. So they look forward to making sure that this is a neighborhood ballpark that fits into the neighborhood. And, I love the old ballparks. I love them all, but I love Wrigley. I love Fenway. And, at the end of the day, it's my hope that, a year or two after we put this stadium in there, it'll look like and feel like it's been there forever. But back to all of the there's a lot of things. Parking, there's somebody asked me to sign something today on my way in, and I noticed it said keep the K.
Yeah.
I said, look, I'm happy to sign that. I love the K myself. I have great memories out here with my kids and my grandkids now, and playing the Yankees in the 70s, the 1980-85 series, 14-15, but it's in the wrong place for baseball today. This is a great and innovative project in 50 years ago with Lamar and Ewing, 2 side-by-side single sports venues. But really today to take advantage of bringing energy and vibrancy around a ballpark, not just 81 nights a year, but 365 days a year. And that's actually what I love about that Crossroads location. In the heart of the city, connecting downtown and the Crossroads, connect to 18th and Vine, to Hospital Hill, and really creating a great, really a center of energy for all of our people. And we're going to make it easier. We're not going to bring people down there if they can't park, get in and get out easily and safely while they're on their way to the game, while they're at the game, and when they go home from the game.
John Sherman is joining us here on KCMO Talk Radio. We are live at Kauffman Stadium for opening day. When you look at this project and you say to yourself, hey, this is where we need to be, a lot of people have asked on the text line, has there been any movement whatsoever to create a more fair Major League Baseball system where you're never going to get a salary cap probably, but we understand the economics of baseball are what they are, and that's part of the reason you're trying to sell this move, right? So,
well, I think
do those conversations happen?
To generate ancillary revenue?
Yes, to
Absolutely.
Get a revenue elsewhere.
That's part of it. That is part of it. But this particular location is really about the best place for the city. I think there's some other places we go where maybe the third-party revenue. This is about the best, but that third-party or ancillary revenue is important. I'm on the executive committee of MLB. I'm on the labor policy committee. So that's the economic system of baseball as it relates to competitive balance and disparity between. Those are one of the key things that we work on. Probably the 2 primary things we talk about mostly when we get together as 30 owners is our global media strategy, and then how can we make this so that all 30 clubs, when they have opening day, all the fan bases have a chance to be in it, and that's not the case today. I think we're employing a strategy to try to be more sustainable. I think our division is more reasonable than some, but these small market teams tend to have to go through these painful rebuilds, and it's painful on the fan base, and we really would like to see a system that has more competitive balance and less economic disparity.
Do you have regrets, maybe the wrong word, but are you disappointed in how much this debate has devolved into now? There are people on the Vote Yes side, former Mayor Sly James, Sarah Torville has alluded to this as well, where if this doesn't go through on Tuesday, you guys have to look at other options. Some fans feel like that is basically a threat, that if you don't get your way, this is over, you guys are going to look elsewhere. How accurate is that, and how much do you regret it's gotten to that point?
You won't hear me make a threat. this is my hometown. I take the legacy of Ewing Kauffman and what he did to keep this team here very seriously. My head is down, and we're working 24/7 right now to keep this team in Jackson County and Kansas City. If the citizens give us a different result on Tuesday, we'll evaluate that and take some time. But I expect us to win, and that there's going to be some really exciting things to talk about, not only for us downtown, but for our neighbors across the street, the Kansas City Chiefs.
When you look at what's happened over the last few months, the timelines have obviously been, moving targets, for lack of a better phrase. People feel like, hey, this thing got put on a ballot. We didn't know where it was going to go. What do you attribute that to? Take us behind the scenes on why the timeline got shifted and what the reason for that was.
I wish that's one thing I wish is that we would have been able to communicate this in a different way, particularly to the Crossroads and the people in the neighborhood that it was sudden. And those, I don't need to get into, all the reasons, right? It was more complicated to go through Jackson County. But as it relates to the decision, I think sometimes this comes up in labor agreements. Sometimes you try to set your own self-imposed deadlines, and it doesn't really work until you're at the 11th hour and there's a real deadline. And I think this was one of those classic cases. We were trying to move this thing along quickly. We had a counterparty we're dealing with that really refused to kind of help move it forward. So it really got to the point where we had to go directly to the legislature, and they put it on the ballot by an 8-1 vote against the executive's recommendation, and then overrode his veto 7-2. So that's unfortunate that happened, but we are where we are, and we're trying to do the best that we can, listening to people in the Crossroads and elsewhere, and make this a really positive thing for our region and both franchises.
So what's on the docket for you the next 3-4 days? You mentioned a bunch of community meetings you were at yesterday and all week long. I imagine there's a couple more of those coming up.
A couple more of those. I think Clark and I are going to spend some – Clark Hunt will be at the game here today. We're going to spend some time together with media tomorrow, I believe. When I said I've been knocking on doors and talking to people, I got all these mini – they're probably unscientific, all these mini polls. My wife was at a restaurant in Brookside, and she came home with some friends and said, I had 4 yeses, 2 no's, and 3 undecideds, including the server. But I want to know why. Right?
Yeah.
If you're on the fence, why are you on the fence? And it's really an interesting set of answers that you get.
Well, I would tell you could cut through all that and listen to the show the last few weeks. You'd hear plenty.
I know that.
I'll send you the podcasts if you want to hear them.
Yeah, I want to. It helps when people are looking me in the eye, but I do listen to your show, and I hear a lot of stuff on the air. Usually, it's in my car.
Yeah.
But then there's some times I wish not your show, but there.
No, it's fine. You can admit that.
There have been some times I wish I wouldn't have turned the radio on.
That's fine. No, that's the beauty of what we do. There's as long as you have a feeling either way, that's the point of the job. So now let's talk about the team here the next couple of minutes. You've got, of course, a team that just signed Bobby Witt to a $300 million deal. People said they wanted you to put your money where your mouth was. I think you've done that with Bobby Witt. The AL Central is wide open. Yeah. You got opening day today against the Twins out here. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon. What are your expectations?
It's hard to play the expectation game today. All I can say is this, that J.J. Piccolo had a set of goals, and what was to add depth to the rotation. We did that with Lugo and Waka. And I think it's exciting that Alec Marsh has stepped up into that number 5 spot, and then Brady Singer. If he has a bounce-back year, that's going to mean a lot to this team. And then, of course, Cole Reagan's the trade we got done. So we feel really good about the rotation. We've added a lot of depth to our bullpen and free agency and some veteran bats. But the presence of those veterans, it's really having veterans in the clubhouse. Last year was a tough year. We had some injuries early, lost 3 starters in our rotation, and young guys. I think we had a group today that can help our young players realize you're going to have ups and downs in a 162-game season, but you're going to come out the other side. So I'm and then Bobby Witt. I think Bobby was going to be here anyway. We only have 8. I think we only have 7 or 8 players on the opening day roster that we did last year. So this is going to be a different team. My expectations, I'll start to develop them, but it really will depend on how they gel as a unit, because on paper we're going to be a lot better, but can they gel as a unit? Can they come together under Q's leadership? Can they sacrifice their own game for the good of the team? Get them on, get them over, get them in, and But I'm looking forward to watching the game today. Looking forward to see Cole Reagans take the ball, and tough pitcher on the other side, Pablo Lopez for the Twins.
It's going to be a great day. Mr. Sherman, we appreciate you being here on KCMO
Thank
Talk
you.
Radio. John Sherman, owner of the Royals.